Welcome to Design Domination, where you'll learn to become a better, more business-savvy designer so you can dominate your competition. Hi, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Colleen Grotzer, and in this episode of Design Domination, I've got special guest and dog lover Lisa Prince Fishler. Stay tuned to find out how Lisa followed her heart and started a nonprofit doing what she loves to do and making a living at it. A passionate artist, pet photographer, and animal advocate, Lisa Prince Fishler is the founder and executive director of HeartSpeak, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated to inspiring change for homeless animals through programs that leverage creativity and collaboration to ensure more animals are seen and saved while simultaneously elevating the image of shelter animals everywhere. HeartSpeak also has a stock image project called Images with Heart, which merges the promotion of pet adoption with a sustainable and ethical platform for artists to license their work. Welcome to the podcast, Lisa. I'm so happy to finally talk to you today.
Hey, Colleen. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It is such an honor, and I'm really excited to be here as well.
Awesome. Well, so let's start off with a few fun questions. And the first one is, do you have a secret talent?
Do actually.
Do tell.
I can rebuild a carburetor. I actually used to fiddle with cars when I was a teenager, so I have some mechanical skills.
Oh, that is really cool. Well, my husband builds transmissions. He'll be really excited to hear that.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God. Yeah, I can still remember the firing order of a V8 Chevy.
Oh, wow.
Completely useless now, but
That's funny. Well, I like the sound of the Mustangs and the older muscle cars and stuff, but I don't know too much about under the hood.
Oh my gosh, yes. I used to love the sound as well, and now loud cars drive me crazy. I'm like, good grief.
Right.
Isn't there a sound ordinance here?
And if you were in a TV show or a movie, which one would you want to be in?
Haha. Good question. I really love this show called This Is Us that's on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that. I like how see, it's not like they transition between different times, forwards and backwards, but yeah, something about that show I really like. So that's the one. I can't give you a good answer why.
Well, it's really funny how we got connected, and I want to just share that with everyone because I'm a huge animal lover and I do a lot. I don't do as much as I used to because of work, but I have always been a big animal advocate, and I have for about, I think, 12 years now. I've had animal rescue stores there where I have my designs, and they're on Cafe Press and Zazzle, and so I sell products with my designs on them, and then I donate the proceeds to animal rescues and to shelters. That's my pet project, right? My big thing. And so when I saw you on Instagram, I came across Images with Heart on Instagram, and I was like, this is really cool, And I love the photos, and I love what you all are doing. So, that really caught my eye, and yeah, it was very cool to see that.
Oh, thank you so much. We have to get you on board. We have graphic designers.
Yes.
as members.
Yes. And so your background is actually in photography.
It is. It is.
And so you did that 15 years?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I always picked up cameras, but I really started professionally around 15 years ago. Yes. Yes.
And then you had a photography business that you were working in at the time, right?
Yes, Prince Photography. The website is still up, but ironically, I'm not taking that many pictures myself at the moment.
And so, what made you change direction and then get into, start a nonprofit organization and then start, doing this cause work and helping shelter animals? How did that all come about?
Well, I fell madly in love with a dog, and I think you might be able to relate to that.
Yes. It all starts with just one, I think.
It really does. It really does. In 2005, I adopted an amazing dog named Iggy, and he led me, because of him, I learned about just the problems facing homeless animals. So what I did was I picked up my camera and I went to the local rescue and I started volunteering my services to help getting other dogs and cats into homes.
Shelters normally have terrible pictures. And so to have somebody that's a good photographer take good pictures really makes a difference.
It's just, they don't have the time and that's not what their focus is. Yeah, and so definitely their photos make a difference, and me going in and that being my primary focus was helpful. And that's not to say I'm the only person who was going into shelters and rescues either. So I learned that only 25 to 30% of pets living in the US homes are adopted from a shelter. So I wanted to do something to help their image and just I mean, there's huge opportunity here when there's such a small percentage being adopted. And so, you know, I don't have a background in animal welfare. I'm a photographer. I'm just one person, but I'm stubborn and I'm a problem solver. And so ultimately, the networker and collaborator in me took over. So there didn't used to be, 15 years ago, as many pet photographers as there are today. And and I kept running into barriers to collaboration with the ones that I did reach out to. And so in 2009, I started a Facebook group. I called it Hearts Speak, Hearts Speak, with the goal of giving voice to animals through art. And I was really just seeking other people who, like myself, would kind of put egos aside and come together for like the sake of the animals. And so within a couple of months, hundreds of people were joining the group.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. It was almost like this space was created and there was a need and people came to it. And so as a result, our flagship program, Artists Helping Animals, was born. And then in 2010, we became officially recognized as a nonprofit with a mission to unite art and advocacy to increase the visibility of shelter animals.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of just the timing was right. The timing was right.
It's really cool because it's like I've always thought about what if I made my shelter stores, like a full-time job, but I would never be able to support myself. But you've actually been able to do that, right? Because you were working full-time as a photographer and then you got into this full-time, right?
Yeah, yeah. So there were many years actually, though, in the beginning where there was no salary. But, we became official in 2010 and then we hired staff in 2015. So it was a struggle. It was a struggle, but a labor of love. Absolutely.
So what did you do to, get yourself out there so you could start making revenue with this organization?
Well, as a nonprofit, we followed like the traditional means, like getting grants from foundations, sponsorship from corporations, and donations from individual donors. Um, we ask for an annual donation of $50 from each of our artist members. And we've had, the numbers vary, but between 500 and 600 members annually. In addition, like you mentioned before, we launched our own stock library, which is growing. It's still in its infancy, but mainly grants and donations. Yeah.
So tell me about the stock library, like how you came about creating that and then, getting other designers and photographers involved and other creatives.
You know, our members are volunteering their services pro bono in shelters and rescues everywhere. And I always say, it's okay to get paid. And so always looking for ways.
It's always okay to get paid.
It's so important, right? Um, and so, yeah, we just had this idea to start the stock library. It's open to our members and we offer a really competitive licensing fee. We pay, 50% rather than what some other agencies do.
That's nice.
And I just think, I mean, me personally, if I had the choice of getting photos from, a large stock agency versus a nonprofit organization that's saving animals, I would go for the nonprofit.
Right. All right. Nothing to think about there.
So, we just think it's a great idea and a great way for members to make income. And so, yeah.
And so you also have other ways that designers and other creatives can help too, right?
We do. We do. I mean, photographers go into the shelters and they take photos. Well, pre-COVID, photographers, are going into the shelters and photographing the animals there. As far as graphic designers and illustrators, they have many different ways they can help. Some will, I think you were saying that you donate like a percentage of what you sell.
I just donate it all, but I don't make it that much on it.
Right, but that helps, every little bit helps. And this past year, actually, one of our most successful fundraisers was a portrait fundraiser. It was a portrait and GIF fundraiser, and it was just this one-off. We'd never done it before. And did you notice some of the shelters and rescues were doing those ugly portrait fundraisers where people who
Mm-mm.
work at the shelter who don't really have design skills were drawing like a picture of your dog for a donation or your cat. Well, anyway, Caitlin, whom I work with, was like, have you seen these fundraisers? We should try it because we have actual illustrators and designers as members. And we offered illustrations and gifts. And oh my gosh, we had 4 artists working with us. And we had to kind of tone down the promotion because we were just getting too many, requests coming in for too few artists. So, yeah,
Oh, wow.
we plan on doing it again, but we're looking for more artists to join so that we can actually, but it was hugely successful. So that, and then, designing calendars, and there's many ways for people of working in different mediums to help.
Yeah, like the stuff that I have in my Cafe Press and Zazzle stores, it's like, there's mugs and there's shirts and hats and calendars and all kinds of clothing. And then there's things that you wouldn't even think you'd put a design on that are strange things. But, like, well, there's like a shower curtain. But, hey, I mean, if somebody wants to buy that, they can buy it, but there's home goods, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny. I've seen, pillow covers. I mean, there's a lot of things that people will buy that have animals are great design material.
Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of sayings that are animal and like pet related too.
Oh,
So
nice.
I like dogs leave paw prints on our hearts, or and then I have a cat's version, and then things like that.
Well, yeah, another really fun way to raise money is through T-shirts, and we use a lot of those T-shirt fundraising platforms, and it's kind of there's something in it for the donor. It's not all about what helping us to support our programs. They're getting something as well. So I think that's fun.
Other than photography, you provide other resources to shelters, don't you?
Yes, yes. So let me back up because we've got Artists Helping Animals was our first program, right? And if we have 500 members in there's 13,000 shelters across the country. So in the out of those 13,000, we have members in maybe a third or just under a third. So that means there's still a significant amount that don't have a photographer in them. And so with that in mind, we started a program called the Perfect Exposure Project. And so what we were doing, and I say this past tense because COVID, everything's a little on hold,
Yeah.
but we would go to shelters across the country and donate gear, cameras, lenses, lights, and then teach a 2-day workshop. So we would teach photography and, leave the equipment behind. And then we would also teach marketing. So, my background was in or is in photography. Our director of operations, Caitlin, has the background in animal welfare, specifically marketing, because language is so important. We're beyond Sarah McLachlan now. We don't want people to be sad and feel sorry. We want them to come into the shelters because they're not as sad as that those commercials make them out to be. Right?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't help.
No.
And and so the Perfect Exposure Project, also called PEP, it's easier to say, PEP empowers the shelters themselves. And then in addition to that, we've got EDU, which is an online platform of digital resources. And we have everything from overlays to, short one-page flyers on writing better pet bios, or, instructional photography flyers, and videos and whatnot. So we try to cover the whole gamut.
Yeah, the bios are so important. The bios and the photos, they can go a really long
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, absolutely. And focusing on the positive, you know, that's what we try to do.
So, how does the membership work?
Why join Heartspeak? I feel like we're more powerful united, and to have a united voice, and to have, the background, and I'll mention Caitlin again, that she brings to it, and getting everybody united and with the same, I mean, because you don't want conflicting opinions,
With
and
the same goal.
yes, yes, in order to be effective, because it's definitely, it can be a polarizing field, and I think that, and it's constantly changing, and we, Heartspeak, always have one foot firmly, in animal welfare and learning all the new trends and whatnot. And I just feel like we're more effective because of that, and also for selfish reasons. If you believe in what we're doing and what we're achieving, then to join us, you're helping us to then provide these resources to shelters and rescues at no charge for them, and our membership is quite affordable. It's never changed. It's never gone up.
So, what is included in that membership?
As a member, you have access to member exclusive resources. So we've got, overlays and whatnot, and instructional videos that are not available to the public. There are also member discounts, for different products and whatnot. You also get your information put on our world map, and so shelters and rescues can find you, or whomever. I mean, we also, like I was saying before, we've got Images with Heart. You can only contribute to that if you're a member. If somebody, say, a vendor comes to Images with Heart and they don't see what they want, we also point them back to our artist's map, because I think there's a difference between somebody well versed in photographing animals versus not, when you have an animal related project. And so hopefully, and people do get jobs through that as well. So
I was just thinking, do you provide any training to the photographers to go into the shelter and understand how to, work with the animals? Because some people think it's like okay to just go up and, I don't know, stare at a dog's face, or they go up to a dog and they're staring down at it. There's certain things that you just, you don't want to do with your posture, or certain.
yeah, we do have, resources on kind of best practices. And, we consistently say, take the cues from the dog or the cat, like, don't force them to do something. These aren't, client photos. It's very different when you're in a shelter environment. It's different from somebody's home. But absolutely, respect them and see what they'll give you.
Yeah, because in the shelter they're nervous, they're on edge.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, there's some cringy things that happen, like, no, don't put your face in that dog's face. Even a kind, sweet dog, when they're afraid, you just don't know, or don't pick them up.
Right. And you have another project, right?
We have this great project that we were just getting off the ground, called Seen Equals Saved. And we started in July of 2019. We went to LA, and in one day, we photographed all of the animals in 7 LA County care centers. So that was 1,200 animals.
Wow.
It was actually amazing. 1,004 dogs and cats were adopted in that week after the event, and that was up 30% from the year before. And there's just so many benefits to this kind of event that I loved. I mean, we had professional photographers who had never volunteered their services before, coming to do this with us, people who just had their cell phone. But the awareness that it raised of, on any given day, there are this many animals in the shelters system. And, 25% of them are purebred, contrary to what a lot of people might think. And purebred or not, because I personally like hybrid mutts,
I do too. They have a unique look.
right? Yeah, they're smart, they're unique, um but every time I go into a shelter, it's like I'm going in for the first time, and I'm just sitting there in awe over how perfect they are, And I think the top 15 reasons an animal ends up in a shelter is human related,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And so they're like good dogs and cats, amazing dogs and cats in shelter.
And fully trained.
Fully trained. Oh my gosh. I mean, the last dog I adopted, Gulliver, who was an adult dog when we adopted him, was the best. I mean, so perfectly trained. He would do a sit stay. I could walk 1,000 feet away from him. He was just perfect. And these dogs are in shelters. So yeah, we had the one in LA, and then just before COVID, another one in Phoenix, and that there were 550 animals adopted in a day, and there are 40 photographers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's just something else that we have and would like to continue doing, but it's really all about getting people to work together, and collaborate for the sake of the animals. And I think that and of course raising awareness.
That's great. Well, this whole story, I mean, I love it because, we're cut from the same cloth when it comes to pets and saving animals.
I know.
I hope that other creatives listening are inspired by this. And if pets aren't their thing or saving animals isn't their thing, they might have another passion that they want to pursue and make a career out of that.
Yes, I totally believe that what makes us unique, what we're passionate about, should align with what we're doing.
Yes, I love that. What a great saying to end with. So let everybody know where they can find you and sign up if they want to be a member.
Okay, so heartsspeak.org, and that's HEARTSSPEAK.org. So there's 2 S's in the middle there. And we, if you are listening to this podcast, are offering a 25% discount on your first year of membership. And that code is AHA 2021. So AHA 2021. Also check out Images with Heart, please. Imageswithheart.org. That's the stock library.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Lisa. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Colleen. Thank you for having me, and I enjoyed it as well.
Are you looking to gain confidence, clarity, and a competitive edge in a crowded marketplace? I offer mentoring, resources, digital products, and courses, including accessibility for designers and web developers, that will empower you to be the design hero, not another order taker. Find them at creative-boost.com and come and connect with me and other design dominators in the Design Domination Facebook group.